Getting a random sample is one of the trickier parts of conducting fieldwork. In this video, we'll take you step by step through the sampling process. In a perfect world, fieldworkers would go out and survey every single person in their target population. In our case, that population is First Nations on reserve and northern communities. But the reality is that we don't have the resources to do that. So we have to do the next best thing, which is to survey a smaller group of people that represents the target population. This smaller group is called the sample. Even though a sample may only contain 100 people, the survey results from that sample could represent 1,000 people. For example, the target sample for FNIGC's survey process is around 30,000 people, but results from the surveys are used to represent all First Nations people living on reserve and in northern communities. That's why sampling is an essential part of your fieldwork. You're using the scientific method, which means you have a set of rules to follow to make sure your research is sound. That means you don't get to choose who will participate in the survey. That group must be randomly selected, just like the winning numbers in a lottery. This randomness is extremely important. If any element of choice is introduced by the researcher, then the results might be unfairly influenced, making them unbalanced or biased. In other words, the end results may not truly reflect the population being studied. So, how do you get a random sample for your target population? The first thing you need is a complete list of all the community members. This list contains private and sensitive information about people. So to get access to the community membership list, you need to work with a community membership clerk. It's important to note that you only get access to the membership list. The list never leaves the clerk's office. Your job is simply to record the information you need to conduct the survey. Keep in mind that community membership lists might be out of date. They may not reflect recent births, deaths, or people who've left the community. So before you move forward, make sure that your list reflects any of those changes. Once you have an updated list, your first goal is to categorize the list by age and sex group. Here's what those categories look like. As you can see, there are 8 categories based on age and sex. So, for example, there's boys aged 0 to 11 or women aged 18 to 54. If you have an electronic copy of the community membership list, then it's easier to organize it into these categories. You can ask and see whether the membership clerk can print out the community membership list according to the categories. If you're working with a paper copy of the community membership list, then you have a little more work ahead of you to organize it into 8 groups. The best thing to do in this case is to make 8 photocopies of the community membership list, 1 for each age-sex group. Then go through each list and highlight each person who belongs in that particular group. If a paper copy of a community membership list isn't available, then you have to write those out by hand. Luckily, there's a form designed to help with this. All you need to do is scan the list and use the birthday column to calculate the age of each person on the list. The goal of all this work is to number and count the individuals in each age-sex category. Number each individual in order within their category, so that the last number is the total population count for the age-sex group. Whichever of these methods you use, your goal is to end up with an accurate count of people in each category who currently live in your community. The next step is to plug those totals into the community population estimate form and send that form to your regional coordinator. Once this step is complete, you're ready to generate your random sample. You're going to do that on your laptop using Entryware. Take the following steps for each of the 8 age-sex categories. As you can see here, the random sample generator asks you for 3 numbers. The first is the total number of people in the age-sex group in the community. Next, you have to indicate how many people you need in your sample. Your regional coordinator will provide these target numbers. As an example, out of 15 people, you might need to sample 8. That number is called your main sample. If you're ever unsure of this number, ask your regional coordinator. The third number, your replacement sample. This is the number of people who you need as a backup for your main sample. This is just in case there are people in your main sample who aren't available or who refuse to be surveyed. This number is typically set at 50% of your main sample. In this example, we're going to indicate 4 people for our replacement sample. When you click Next, the program automatically generates 2 lists, one for your main sample and one for your replacement sample. These are randomized lists of numbers that you use to locate the names of the people you're going to survey. To locate these names, refer back to the numbered age-sex lists and then simply match the numbers to the names. Once you have the names, all you need to do is copy them down. It's really important that you copy them down in the same order that they're given to you. Otherwise, the lists won't be truly random. Once that's done, you're ready to go. If you followed all these steps, you should have a random list of names, organized by age and sex, hopefully with some contact information you can use to find them. This sampling process might seem like a lot of painstaking work, but the randomness that it achieves in your sample is a necessary part of reliable scientific fieldwork.